Welcome to the Rethink Leadership podcast, available on all platforms including YouTube if you prefer to watch. My name is Jeremy Blaine, CEO of Performance Works International, Executive Director of the Transformational Leadership Acceleration Institute, and Managing Partner of Diversity Talent. My aim is to bring insights from leaders, experts, and highly talented professionals from around the world. Insights, stories, and advice from the front lines of modern leadership to engage, inspire, and mobilize progress back in the workplace. Every episode is a learning opportunity for us all. The Rethink Leadership podcast also supports charities around the world. Each episode is in aid of a cause chosen by my guests, and to date I'm proud to say we've supported over 60 global and local great causes. Today I welcome Courtney Orange, former 6-time national gymnastics champion, Commonwealth Games competitor, street performer, and an award-winning entertainment agency owner, now better known as a Wellbeing Motivator. Over 200,000 individuals in the education system, communities, organisations, and through various events have been motivated and inspired by Courtney's Wellbeing ENERGISER workshops and peak performance resilience talks and keynotes. We discuss the importance of well-being and building resilience in the workplace and at leadership level, with practical small steps everyone can take to make a big difference in ourselves and with others, one of which may surprise you. This episode is in aid of the charity Holding Space, an organisation supporting parents, children and young adults who are struggling with their mental health, and an organisation that tries to normalise these conversations, offering a safe space for families to come together. This is Courtney's charity of choice. Let's hear more. Hi, Courtney. Thanks very much for joining me. Please tell us a little bit about yourself, your amazing journey to where you are now, and something about yourself that maybe not many people know.
Jeremy, thank you very much, Mr. Blaine. Thank you so much for this invitation. And I just want to say much respect and inspiration to what you have created, what you have done, and what you are doing. And I just want to thank you so much for inviting me onto the interview. Right, I'll give you it's a long story, but I'll cut it all short down for you. I was born in the country of Zimbabwe, Southern Africa, for those of you that might not know. Grew up until the age of 18 years old. I went to school in Zimbabwe. I moved over to the United Kingdom, trying to follow the dream of getting to the Olympic Games. I was a sportsman that liked so many sports. I was into golf, cricket, rugby, tennis, athletics, you name it, I did it. And gymnastics was a sport that kind of stuck with me. I pursued a career in that sport. I became the 6-time national champion of Zimbabwe. And then the training facilities, I needed to up my game to achieve that dream. So I moved over 2002. I came to train, work and train in London. No sponsorship backing. Went into competing at the Commonwealth Games and in Manchester. My career took a bit of a change in place after the games, in preparation for the World Championships that was happening in Los Angeles. And it was unfortunate that I picked up an injury, which meant that I needed to have an operation, took me out of training. And I then got attracted to, somebody invited me to a dance class. I picked up dance, and a good friend of mine, a massive mentor, got me to perform in the streets of London as a street performer. So I took up learning how to street perform, watching how the street performers do their thing, using my talents from the gymnastics world and the dance world, and doing breakdance, acrobatics, and entertaining the audiences that came to London. It then got me thinking, wow, this street performing in the winter is slightly difficult, especially the fact I used to take off my t-shirt during the performance. So yeah, it just wasn't an all year round thing for me. So I decided to create an entertainment agency, which recruits, still running to this day, called Streets United, and that really has sent performers and entertainers across the world to different events, royalty events, corporate events. But then COVID came into play, and that was really got my mindset changed. I went into the construction industry for a couple of years, and then during that time, it got me thinking that there's more to this. I started researching, reading, listening to well-being related topics. And now I am a speaker, a motivational well-being motivator that goes into organizations, schools, to enhance the well-being mindset. Something that you don't know about me, I stand 80% of the day. I love to stand, and we've been told the longer you stand, the longer you live. And I also love to bird watch. So bird watching is a very, very popular thing for me to do. I hope that answers your questions, intro.
More than answers my question. In fact, I would call you an all-rounder, I think is my summary here, from sports to construction to dance to entertainment to, gosh, the Manchester Games. I remember, I'm from Manchester, and I remember the Manchester Commonwealth Games and how enjoyable it was, actually. So it's great to talk to somebody, an athlete who was actually doing that there. And talking to somebody that when I'm doing this, I'm largely sat down. 80% stand. No, I don't think I'm quite there yet. So I've got a way to go. So so I'm going to take that tip forward. Now I know you're a well-being, a resilience expert and speaker, and I've seen what you do out there. And for me, it was really important to bring you on here to talk to a leadership audience about this. And the first question I've got for you really is, why do you think well-being is now much more as an important theme for leaders in any organization to think about and act upon, not just for the organization and their teams, but for themselves as well?
Well, being a leader, or having the agency, being an entertainment agency owner, we as leaders have to set that example. And it's not only good for our own personal physical health, but also our mental health and our functionality. Our productivity is enhanced considerably. We're taking care of our general mental and physical well-being, and that just produces better performance. It not only, if a leader can show that to within themselves and show it to their teams that they lead, it just brings about this even more inspiration that people within an organization that follow or look up to a leader will want to kind of have a mirror image or be motivated to come in every day and do better. And it just creates a better energy within the culture of the work environment.
Yeah, and that cultural point is a very important one as well. And it has become much more important, of course, post-pandemic, where this became front and center and showed the importance of looking after the whole employee, if you like, not just the person in a role or a job, but their mental health, their physical health, their skills in their role, how they communicate and collaborate. And I guess that's a very positive that's come forward. And I'd like to ask you, you talked about performance, energy, and motivation. What are the tangible benefits have you seen that you would talk to senior leaders about in any industry of building well-being and building resilience for them personally as they sort of tackle this transformational space that they're dealing with at the moment?
Yeah, I think the building of resilience and well-being, it just helps a better functionality and operation of a team, whether it be a two-man team or a large organization, and knowing how to, firstly, being in control of the mind is one of the biggest factors. And that then leads on to, okay, I can then go and do a physical workout, or I can be in a social environment. And then once you've got those two elements in place, it's all about, having to kind of push on a more positive vibe, not that you possess as a leader throughout your team and towards your team, but then having that overall positivity and just that aura about a leader in any confidence way, it just creates more. Well, the presenteeism in the workplace is enhanced, and it's just it creates a better vibe all around when it comes to having a better functioning workplace and organization.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you there. And I know that you yourself embody the essence of resilience, and I'm beginning to understand why now when you went through everything that you've done and what you had to. It takes some guts to be a street performer, I have to tell you. It's something I've not tried, but hugely admire kind of getting into that and to do. So having embodied that, not just in those other roles, but also in the athletics and the sports that you've been in, the move to the UK, you sort of practice this in that and your business life. So I'd just like to hear it from your point of view. How do you define resilience, and how do you personally go about building it in yourself?
So there's a line that I picked up from a very inspirational person, Les Brown, and he says, you grow through what you go through, and every single experience, conversation, image, video, sound you might see, whether it be a negative or a positive sound, if you can adjust that experience into a learning experience, say, you know what, it was a tough day. I might have broken down. I might have spilled coffee on my suit. I might have, lost a contract. I might have had a bad review from a client. What can we, as a person, as an organization, figure out in terms of turning that negative vibe into a positive? And with that, I think that builds on the resilience and creates a stronger person within, if you are a leader. And then also, I would highly encourage to, you've heard of cold showers or submersive, getting into ice baths, right, Jim?
I've done it.
You've done it?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
No, this is something that I started at the beginning of the year. And slowly you get to understand why is it that people do this. I feel that in this current world that we live in, there's a lot of softness involved in approaches in different, there's a lot of protection involved. There's a lot of and that's weakening the individuals. But if somebody can go through or put themselves through voluntary stress, an ice bath, for example, or a cold shower, or push themselves to the limit in doing something totally different. It might be going to give a bunch of flowers to somebody on the street, just out of your own goodwill. That's taking you out of your comfort zone. And if you're able to do, I would say, starting off with one thing out the box a week, something different, totally different, it'll build the resilience and that inner, so that if any stressful situations that might come later down the line, you're able to handle them slightly better.
Yeah, so voluntary stress. I've not heard it coined like that before, but I really understand it based on what you said. And because we experience stress, whether it's positive stress or negative stress, but very rarely perhaps do many, or I'm talking about myself now, so very rarely do I, should I say, think about, right, what situation can I put myself in today which is simulating that stress or putting me in that situation, like jumping in an ice bath, which is I can, and what else can I do next week? What can I do? And then suddenly, yeah, you're building. These are one of the tactics actually I've not come across before around building that resilience through creating your own sort of stress patterns and stress elements. I think it's a very, very good point. And I'm sure that's at the heart of being an athlete at your core and a sports person at your core. I imagine that well-being regimes, resilience regimes are at the heart of what you do. So I'm going to put you on the spot now, and going to ask you to help us all. So what can you recommend, um, based on what you do, and based on what you've seen in other organizations, to leaders, organizations you work with, to build their well-being, their mental health, as well as their resilience? And I'd love to know what feedback you're getting from that.
Sure. I mean, I highly encourage something that I share in organizations and my presentations a lot. It is the triple S rule. So, one, standing up. That in itself. I was, just to give you an example, I had a break from standing the other day, very hot, and I sat down for an hour in the afternoon, and I started to slowly doze off in front of the computer. I was like, wow, if somebody's standing, they wouldn't possibly tend to doze off. So I would highly encourage, if there is a possibility to increase the amount of standing that anybody or organizations can do by putting in those adjustable desks, or having one at home, that would certainly enhance your productivity. So that's stand up, the one S. First S. Second S is stretch your mind and your body. So imagine that you are able to accomplish a marathon if you've never accomplished it, or imagine that you are able to solve a puzzle, or imagine that you dream. It's imagining or dreaming. So stretching your mind by imagining certain things would help you enhance, your reach mentally. And then stretching physically. If you're able to, after a 45-minute session or an hour session of sat in front of the computer or doing what you're doing, it might not be in front of the computer, it might be physical work. Please try to implement stretching, whether it be stretching from one side to the other side, and just for a few minutes, reach up to the sky, touch your toes, touch one foot, touch the other foot, and just even do a 360-degree turn, just to refresh the memory. That stretching of the mind and stretching of the body helps anybody come, if they're having a stressful solution that they need to figure out, a stressful problem, figuring out a solution, you'll come back and solve that problem without a doubt. And the third S is silence. Silence. We need a bit of silence in our life. Okay. Too often, wake up, the phone alarm goes. Some people jump straight onto the phone. Some people get straight into their clothes. There's too much going on in the world. And if you can implement a 5-minute silence at the start of your day, the end of your day, or even in the middle of your day, if there's nowhere to sit down in silence, we know that the cubicle, the work toilet, is always a place where you might get a bit of noise. But if you can take some time out, just and listen to to these ambient sounds that you might get on podcast platforms or YouTube. So yeah, those are the three S's: stand up, stretch the mind and body, and silence is what I encourage people and organizations to implement.
Yeah, I've seen some of your videos on YouTube and how you when you're in front of a live audience, how you practice this and how you can stretch and do things that most normal people can't, as far as I'm looking at. And I subscribe to this. I'm very much a healthy body, healthy mind, fit in mind and body. And you've got to take those times out. It's all too easy to just stay at your desk, sit down, etc., and not get up and be active. So just going back to that point, so you work with many organizations and individuals. What are they telling you when they've been through kind of one of your sessions or when they've started to practice this? What are some of the results that they're telling you about?
It's a very refreshing thing that because when I do presentations, it's very interactive. So people will stand up throughout the sessions. And some people have come away refreshed, taken different steps towards scenarios differently. And I guess being enhanced in a positive way. There's been, I don't think there's been one session where somebody hasn't learned something and taken away something that they'd be able to utilize within their daily routines. So I'm all about getting people actioning like yourself. I think on your website is you're a thought to action person. I love that. Not only just thinking about it or writing it down, but also just going through the process of, okay, what would that action resemble in your current life?
Yeah. That's it. I think everybody individually has to ask those questions. So if you were standing in front of an audience now, they've heard you speak like this, and you have an audience who is listening to this right now, what are the 4 or 5 key points that you would reinforce for them to help them build this sense of well-being, help build their resilience? Tell us more.
For sure. I don't know if you can see that quote on that on the side of the video. It says some gratification for waking up this morning is your power vitamin to start any day. Gratification is what I wake up with, and I urge people to have that gratification in just simply waking up in the morning, because some people might not have woken up this morning. Having the opportunity to think about you going through take everything as an opportunity. You don't have to do it. You get to do it. And that's the first one, is gratification. The second one is to have a positive mindset on any approach to any organizational problem that might pop up, and see, or a personal problem, and see what good there might be in that particular problem. Try and, before reacting, they say that life is 10% of what happens to us and 90% of how we react. So just take your approach with a bit of a pause before you do it, and approach it positively. The third thing is try to implement a fun routine into things that you do. So try to get enough sleep, but make sure that sleep pattern happens throughout more frequently. Try to get enough exercise. Try to eat, balance what you eat perfectly well. I mean, for example, I have a coffee and I have a sweet day. So I have a coffee day and I have a sweet day. So I can eat sweet things on the non-coffee day. So try to balance it out in a way that can benefit you. Because we know that if we indulge in too much of something, it can cause repercussions. And then the last thing is whatever we are doing, work-wise, professional-wise, hobby-wise, make sure that you implement happiness, and that happiness is gained from what you are doing. There's no point in leading a team when you're not happy within being that leader, because the people below you are just going to look up to you and think, you might just be in it for the money, or you might just be in it for the popularity. So just whatever you do, reinsure that it is throughout the heart. It comes from the heart, and that you're happy, because, hey, life is so short. Tomorrow might never come. So just whatever you do today, make sure that you are happy about it.
Yeah, live in the moment. And you're so right. Gratification, positivity, fun, happiness. These are things we don't talk enough about in business, but make such a difference as far as our energy goes, engagement, mobilization, action. And I'm guessing there are many tuning in that would want to find out more and get in touch and keep the conversation going with you, Courtney. So how do they do that, and where do they go?
Jeremy, that's much appreciated. So CourtneyOrange.com is my website. I am on all social platforms, and I aim, and I do have been publishing or putting a post out on a daily basis, whether it be video, whether it be a quotation, a picture that can enhance an individual's daily life, well-being, and positivity within all that they do. I've also just recently put out a confidence booster course that can help anybody that is wanting to enhance their confidence in their professional lives, personal lives. And that will soon be followed by a well-being course that'll touch on various elements that are associated with well-being.
Fantastic. So for those of you listening, not watching, that's CourtneyOrange.com. And Courtney, I'd like to thank you very much for joining me, sharing your wisdom, sharing your quite amazing background, I would have to say, and what you've learned about yourself, how you're helping others doing that. And again, for those great tips at the end around gratification, positivity, fun, happiness, and getting into those routines. Lovely. Thanks for joining me.
Jeremy, thank you very much. And also thank you very much for your contribution towards the charity. And what you are doing, what you have done, has turned a lot of lives and their minds in people. So much commend on what you have done. And thank you so much for this interview again.
Oh, thanks to you too. Goodbye, Courtney.
All right, Jeremy. Thanks again.
Thanks for tuning in to the Rethink Leadership podcast with me, Jeremy Blaine. Please like, comment, and support us on your favourite platform, and subscribe to our YouTube channel where you can watch as well as listen to each episode.